We talked about the introduction to inequalities and what they look like and how to write them both in math and in words. Let's talk about solving some of these. Okay, so we learned how to solve equations, one step and two step. Um, the process for these is going to be exactly the same. It's just a matter of how you read your answer at the end is sort of one of the little tricks, and then you'll see there's a thing with multiplication and division at the end here that is going to be one other thing you need to remember. So the number one thing here that you can do is to make sure you check your answer and actually think about what your answer means, and you will be totally fine. Okay, let's take a look at this, and let's pretend that this was just a one-step equation where it said x plus 1 is equal to 2, okay? And so how would we solve this? Well, we would say, okay, I'm taking x and I'm increasing it by 1, right? I'm adding 1 to it and I get to 2. So I'm going to start with 2 and work backwards, and so go down 1, and I'm going to end up with x is equal to 1, okay? Well, this is when both sides are equal, right? I'm saying the left side and the right side are equal to each other. So how do I make this side equal to this side? Well, I can do that when x is equal to 1, right? 1 plus 1 is 2. Both sides are equal. Okay. Now, the thing with these are inequalities, okay? And so inequalities are not equal. And so what I'm saying is the left side here is bigger than the right side. So this whole side here is when all of the numbers on this side need to be more than or equal to 2, right? So it's got to be 2 or more. Everything here has to be 2 or more, all right? So what I'm going to do is I want to figure out what numbers are allowed to go here, okay? So I know that x, or any number, and then up 1 from there has to be more than 2, 2 or more. So we're going to solve it the exact same way, okay? And so instead of going up 1 from there, I'm going to say, let's take 2 and go down 1. And then what I can say is all numbers that are more than or greater than or equal to 1 would work here. We'll make the left side bigger than the right side, and that's what it's saying. So let's pick a number that's more than 1. Let's pick something big. Let's say 10, okay? So if I take a number here, 10, is 10 more than 1? Yes. Now let's plug it in here, and I'll say 10 plus 1, is that more than 2? Well, yes, it's going to be more than 2. I mean, 10 is more than 2, so 10 plus 1 is 11, and 11 is more than 2, and it works. Now let's try a number that's less than 1, right? So then let's pick, let's say, 0. Okay, if I take 0, all right, and I plug it in here, we'll get 0 plus 1 is more than or equal to 2. Well, 0 plus 1 is 1, and 1 is greater than or equal to 2. Does that work? No, that is not true. Okay, so we know that here the solution is any number greater than or equal to 1. And so then what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and graph this. So I'm going to put the number that we're talking about, 1, and I'll put 1 lower than that, which is 0, and I'll put 1 above that, which is 2. So 0, 1, 2. And we're talking about all the numbers that are greater than or equal to 1. So I'm going to start with a closed circle and numbers that are bigger than it. So we'll go this way. And if I take 2 and plug it in there, 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 is greater than 2, so that works. And if I took 0, and 0 doesn't work, right? We tried that already. And this would be my solution, okay? This is the solution to it, okay? And then here, this is the graph of it. And then I can say, if I wanted to write this in English, we could say 1 or more. Okay? Or you could say all numbers greater than or equal to 1. Okay? And then another one we could say is a minimum of 1, right? Minimum of 1. Okay? All of those say the same thing. All right, let's try another one. Why don't you go ahead, you try this one real quick. Go. Okay, we're going to solve this just like we would a normal equation. So we're going to say x is then we're to go up 5, okay? And that's going to get me a number that has to be lower than or equal to 2. So, well, how do I figure out what numbers work here? Instead of going up 5, I'm going to say, what numbers, these numbers need to be lower than 2, and then I'm going to go down 5. Okay, notice again, the biggest mistake people do here is they say 5 and then they would do minus 2. All right, but remember, we're starting with 2 and then we do the opposite thing. Okay, what's the thing that we're moving or the thing that we're changing? We're changing up 5, so it goes down 5. Okay, well then if I start at 2 and go down 5, that's going to say numbers that are less than or equal to -3. Okay, so let's put these in. Let's say -3, and then below that is -4, and then -2. Okay, that's another mistake people make a lot is they draw their graph wrong. Okay, and remember, think about what we're saying here. Okay, -3. Okay, and what's one lower than -3? It's -4. And if it helps, go ahead and make a vertical line. Okay, if you want to do this, and you could say, okay, well, -3 is here. What's below that? -4, and what's above that? -2. Okay, and I'll graph it both ways here. So we know that numbers that are less than or equal to -3. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to close circle here, and I'm going to say numbers that are lower than that. We'll go this way. Okay, and let's pick our numbers. Let's take -4 and plug it in here. Okay, so if I do -4 plus 5, is that going to be lower than negative or +2? Okay, well, -4 plus 5 is 1. Is 1 less than 2? Yep, that works. And then let's try it if we plug in -2. So we got -2 plus 5 is less than or equal to 2. -2 plus 5, that's +3. Is that less than 2? No, 2 is not bigger than 3. That doesn't work. Our graph looks good. If you wanted to draw it here, we could say -3, and then all the numbers that are lower than it, right? So we're going to go this way. Okay, do another one. You try this one. Go for it. Okay, hopefully you see it's sort of the same idea. We have x, right? And what we're doing is we're taking 5, we're going down 5, and that's going to be lower than 3. Well, let's, instead of going down 5, we're going to go up 5. So we're going to start at 3 and go up 5. Again, notice the opposite is we went down 3, and so the opposite is up. I'm sorry, we went down 5, so the opposite of that is up 5. So then we're going to do x has to be lower than 8. Okay, so any number, we can plug in any number lower than 8 over here, and it will make this whole thing less than 3. Okay, well, let's fill this in. We got 8, and what's one above that is 9, and one below that is 7. All right, and we're saying all numbers lower than 8. Right, you see that it's where we say, yeah, all numbers less than 8, right? You could say lower than 8, or we could say up to 8, but not counting 8, so that doesn't work because that includes 8. Lower than 8. Okay, less than 8. Those all work. Okay, let's check it. So let's plug in, let's take 7 and plug it in here. We got 7 minus 5. Is that less than 3? Well, 7 minus 5 is 2. Is this true? Is 2 less than 3? Yes, that works. And then let's try 9. 9 minus 5. Less than 3. And that's 4. Is 4 less than 3? No, that's not true. So our solution is correct. Okay. Go ahead and try this one. All right, so we have a number, and we're taking it going down 2. And we're saying that's more than -6. So instead of going down 2, we'll do the opposite. We'll take -6, and then we'll go up 2. So we'll get x is greater than -6, and up 2 will be -4. So we're talking about numbers that are more than 4. Okay. So let's go ahead and we'll graph this. So we got -4, okay, and then what's one above -4? -3. And if you think about it, like, you know your positive numbers are going to come over here, right? Which means 0 is going to come over here. So if you need to think like, okay, 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, okay? That's how we're going to do this. And then we're going to have an open circle, and we're going to go greater than. Okay, so let's check it. Let's put some numbers in here. Let's try negative 3. So if I do negative 3 minus 2 is greater than negative 6. Negative 3 down 2 is going to get me to negative 5. Is negative 5 higher than negative 6, right? So is 5 below 0 above 6 below 0? Now that's really kind of confusing, but if you think temperature, right? Negative 5 is warmer than negative 6 degrees. It's still cold, but it's a little bit warmer, okay? So this one does work. Now let's try if we plug in negative 3. So we'll do negative 3. Oh, no, sorry, we already did that. We'll do negative 5. So negative 5 minus 2 is greater than negative 6. We get negative 7. Negative 7 is not greater than negative 6, okay? This is, we got to think about it, right? Does negative 7, is that greater than negative 6? No, it is not greater than negative 6. So our graph and our solution looks pretty good here, okay? All right. I was going to do more on this video, but this has already gone long enough. So what we'll do is tomorrow we'll go over some of these in class. I'll have you practice, and then I'm either going to make another video. I'll probably make another video showing you how to multiply and divide these same things. Okay. So bring your notes to class tomorrow, and we'll talk about it.